series on making our old school Asteroids game. In this video we're going to be looking at what to do when we run out of lives. So ending the game, being able to restart the game. So currently we can lose lives when we run in to the asteroids in our spaceship controller script right here in our onCollision enter 2D function. If we hit something hard enough that it should kill us, then we take a life away. We're doing all of our effects here. We're setting up a respawn. We're invoking that 3 seconds into the future. And then we got this check here to see if our lives are less than or equal to 0. So this is where we know that the game is now over. So let's call a function. So if the game is over, we're out of lives, let's just call, and we'll call it game over. And I don't want a capital A there. Alright, so this is going to be a function that we're going to write. So let's go ahead and just put this right down here. So this is going to be a void game over function. Okay, and in game over, one of the first things we want to do is make sure that this respawn doesn't happen. If we're out of lives, we're ending the game, we don't want the player to come back. So we're calling this with an invoke statement. So we can simply just cancel all the invoke statements that the script is running to keep that from happening. So first thing we'll do here is we'll say CancelInvoke, and CancelInvoke will cancel all invoke statements that are pending. So this will have been called, but then we check to see, oh, game's over. We call game over, and then we're just going to go ahead and cancel that invoke. So that should keep us from coming back. So first of all, let's save this and just test this out to see if it actually is going to work the way we think it should. I'm going to go to my spaceship. The spaceship has 3 lives. Let's go ahead and just knock that down to 1 here so that we can see that happening, or maybe we'll do 2. Let's just make sure he still respawns but then stops when we run out of lives. And let's run into an asteroid here. Let's see if we can hit this guy. Okay, so we should come back here in just a second, and we're invulnerable there for a moment, and there we go. And now we have 1 life left. Let's see if we can hit this rock again hard enough to lose another life. There we are. And you notice that we are not coming back. Okay, there we go. You can see the spaceship is still in the scene. He's floating around out here in our scene view, but his renderer is still turned off and his collider is still turned off. So we did manage to cancel that invoke so that the player can't do anything here inside the game. Now we have a way of ending the game as far as not having a spaceship come back that the player can control. So let's also at this point do some UI. We're going to pop up a panel here that informs the player that the game is over and that they're out of lives. And then we'll give them the option to restart the game, or just to maybe go out to a menu that we could develop later on, or quit the game. So let's do that real quick here. So we've got a canvas already in the scene that's currently displaying our lives and our score. So I'm going to right click on the canvas here. I'm going to go to UI, and I'm going to make a panel. Panels are great because they allow you to overlay the screen or part of the screen with a panel here that we can then put things on. So I'm zooming out here so we can see the canvas. Remember, Unity draws the canvas really large off to the side, but it matches up with the screen once we're in play mode. So this panel here, we could leave it cover the whole entire screen, or we could shrink it down in a little bit. So why don't we do that? We'll go here to the anchor points. We'll give it a center anchor point so it's not set to stretch anymore. And then we can change the width and height up here in the boxes, or we can just go in to Unity here now, and we can just kind of slide the corners down here, and we can put something out here in the middle. Now if you want to center it, if you go here to the X position and put a 0 there, it'll go ahead and center that left and right on the screen for you. You can do the same for Y if you want to center it in the middle. So now it's centered in our screen, and it takes up a good amount of space. We'll go ahead and call this our game over panel. There we go. And now I can add UI elements to this panel and they'll become children of the panel, which means that they'll move with the panel, they'll turn on and off with the panel. So another thing that's nice to use here for the panel. So let's right click on the game over panel and let's go ahead and create a text that we're going to use just to give a message to the player. So we'll put maybe something up here and make this text box nice and big. Something maybe about like so. We can center the text over here. Let's put some text in here. We'll call it game over. And we'll center it vertically. And then we can play with the color and the size and all that. Let's give it kind of a red. And let's make this bigger. Make it maybe a 50 there. So now we have big game over. We could go in here and bold that, make it even a little bigger. So we've got a message there saying game over, and then let's give a few buttons here that the player could push. So let's rename this as our game over text, and then to the panel we'll right click UI. Let's make a button, and let's drag that over here for now. And maybe we'll make these buttons a little larger. Again, if you want to see how big it actually is out in the game view, you can click in your game view screen. You can hold shift and spacebar to see how big this actually is. So yeah, I think I want to make these buttons a little bit bigger here. Shift spacebar to go back. So let's see, the button currently is 160 by 30. Let's maybe make it 50 high. We'll try that. And the text on the button here, let's have this be our play again. So this will be our play again button, and let's make that text a different color. So maybe we'll pick some sort of a blue color here and make this a little bigger. Let's try 25. And the background color of this button, if you go to the button itself, in the hierarchy, you can change the background color here. So maybe we'll pick a different color for the button. We could make it black or more of a gray. Let's make it in black. That pops pretty nice for now. And we'll have play again here. And then if I want another button that's exactly like this one, then I can just right click this and do a duplicate. Now I have another button, and I can grab this other button and pull it over here to the other side of the screen so it's somewhat symmetrical. And this button could be our back to menu, maybe. So we'll say menu on this one. And I like to make a button first and then duplicate it, because then you're matching all your colors and it's nice for design and layout. So that's kind of what I did there. Alright, so now we should name these buttons up here in our hierarchy so we don't have to we can figure out which one is which. So this is our play again button, and then this one here we'll call our menu button. Okay, so just a real quick and easy panel here set up for all this. Now the panel itself, you can change the background color of it if you like. Right now it's kind of a whitish color, and it's got alpha, so it's got transparency, so you can fade these in and out, all the way opaque, all the way invisible or see-through, so you can kind of play with these. I might bump that down a bit, and maybe we'll go into more of a kind of really light, kind of a bluish tinge to it that covers the background, and we'll do something like that for now. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want this panel to not be visible until the game is actually over. So what we're going to want to do here is we can just uncheck this box up here and turn off the game object for the panel. So at the beginning of the game here, it's just not going to be turned on. And then when we run out of lives, we're going to go out here through the script and we'll just have it turn the panel back on so we can see it. So I'm going to start with it turned off. I'm going to go into my script here now, and my spaceship script here needs to have a link to that panel. So we're just going to make a variable up here at the top for that. So let's just add it right here for we're doing our other UI variables. So we'll go here, make a public, and let's just make this a game object variable to hold a link to our panel game object, so we can just turn the whole game object on and off. And we'll call this our game over panel. And then we can assign that out in the inspector to that panel. Alright, now in our script, we'll go down here to where we have our game over. After we cancel the invoke, we'll go ahead and make that panel visible. So we'll say game over panel, and then we can say .SetActive. This allows us to activate and deactivate game objects. Game over panel is a game object. And then in the parentheses here, you put a true if you want the panel to be activated, and you put a false if you want it to be deactivated. So we're going to put a true here and underline with a semicolon. So what this will do now is this will activate the game over panel, so it will become visible and active. We're going to go out into Unity here and test this out. We're going to go ahead and put our lives down to 1, and then we have to hook in this game over panel. So we're going to go here to the game over panel. We're going to grab it from the hierarchy and drop it in right here. Okay, and then we will hit play, and we'll run into this rock here. He's going to come back in over here somewhere, so maybe we'll just wait for him for a second here to come back in so we can ram into him. Here he comes. So down I go. Boom. Okay, so he disappears. He doesn't come back. The thing I like about this is you got kind of an active game over screen here, because whatever state your game was in at the time that you lost, it's still going to keep going. The asteroids are still going. Everything will still be doing everything that we had it doing before. So that's kind of fun. All right, so the next thing to do then would be to make these buttons do something. So play again would just reset the game and start us over. And menu will take us out to a menu screen that we haven't built yet, and we'll probably do that in a different video. But for now, let's go ahead and stop play mode, and let's make the play again button do what we want it to do. So buttons are great because we can give buttons events when they're clicked. So for now, actually, let's turn the panel on here so we can see it in the inspector and we can grab a hold of things. If I go to the button here, it's got an on-click event area, so we can tell it what to do when it's clicked. What we want the play again button to do is call a function on our player script that will restart our level. So basically we're just going to reload the current level, which will reset everything back to its starting positions and let the game start over again. So we have to write the function before we can add it to the on-click event. We'll go into our script here for the spaceship, and let's just make a function here. So this has to be a public function so that we can attach to it from our button. So and it's going to be void, it's not returning a value, and we're just going to call this play again. And what play again is going to do is it's going to reload the current level. So that means I need to go to something called the scene manager, which is a built-in part of Unity that's for loading levels and things like that. To use the scene manager, I actually have to add a using at the top. So up at the top here, we're going to have to add another one of these using tags. So we're going to say using Unity engine, and this is going to be scene management. So if you start typing, and then it'll pop up in the autocomplete box. You want this one right here. This gives us access to all the loading and unloading of scenes and things like that. Now that I have that, I can go back down here to my play again, and I can say scene manager. This gets me access to all the scene manager stuff, and I can say dot load scene. So I'm telling it I want to load a scene, and I have to give it a either a ID number or a scene name. So we'll probably just give it a scene name here. So in the parentheses here, we're going to give it a scene name as a string. Now the name we need here is the name of our scene in Unity. So let's go out to Unity here and see what our scene is called. This scene here is called main. You can see it right up here, main.unity. That's my scene name in the top menu bar. So I'm going to give it a capital M, main. And then this will go out and load that scene. Now we can do this a couple of different ways, but the next thing we need to do is go back into Unity. We have to tell Unity what scenes it's okay for it to load and what we're actually using in the game. So we are going to go here to Unity, and you have to go to File and then Build Settings. So this is in the Build Settings. We go to Build Settings, it's going to pop open this window right here. This window has a lot to do with when we go to build the game, what system we're building for and other things. Right now we're mainly just interested in the top part, which is scenes in build. Right now there's nothing. Now since we're in this scene currently working on it, I can just say add open scenes and main pops right into the list. If you have multiple scenes to add, the scenes will show up in your project panel somewhere and you can just drag and drop them in as well. You'll also notice next to main here there's a 0. So Unity does number the scenes as well. So I could have either asked it for the scene index 0 or I could give it the name. So I just chose name this time. So it's going to find one called main with a capital M. So you don't have to push any other buttons here. You can just close this window after you add your scene. So now Unity knows that it's okay for it to load this scene, and it knows what scene I'm talking about. So when I hit the button, Scene Manager is going to load a scene. It's going to look in that list in the build settings for one called main, and it's going to load it. When Unity loads a scene, it deletes everything that's currently in the scene, and then it reloads all brand new and fresh. So it'll reset and override everything that's currently out there. Alright, next thing we have to do then is on our Play Again button, now we can add this on-click event. So we're going to hit the plus sign down here under on-click event to add an event. And now I have to tell it where the function is that I want it to run. So that function is in my spaceship script. That spaceship script is attached to my spaceship. So I have to tell it to go to the spaceship. So I'm going to drag that into the object box here. And on the spaceship now I can drop this box down and I'm going to find my spaceship script's name. So here's all the different components that are on my spaceship. I want it to go to the spaceship controls script. Then from here I can go over and find that function. Since it's a public function, it'll show up in the list. So here it is, Play Again. So now when I click this button, Unity knows to go to my spaceship, to go to the spaceship script, and to run the function called Play Again. So that's one of the main ways that we use buttons. That's how we set them up. So for now, menu isn't going to do anything. We'll leave menu alone. We'll take that on some other time. But let's go ahead and test out and see if we can actually play again now. So I'm going to go ahead and save my project here, Control S. I'm going to hit play. Whoops, one thing we got to do here, I have to turn this panel back off again. So let's go to the Game Over panel and turn it off and hit play. So I'm going to try to score a few points here so that we can get some score and see that the score and everything will reset as well. So let's see if we can hit that. Okay, so I've got 35 points. Let's hit some asteroids here. See if I can get lined up here to hit one of these guys. Alright, game is over. Everything keeps going. It looks good back here. And if I hit play again, you notice that my lives went back to 1, my score went to 0, and everything restarted. So it totally did reset everything. I've got control and I can go again. So that's how we're going to handle game over for now. We're going to end this video right here. We now have it set up where we can end the game when we run out of lives and that end game menu pops up and we're restarting the game. So in the next video we will look at how to go from level to level. So once we clear out all the asteroids in our level, how do we start the next level and increase the difficulty each time? So that'll be the topic of our next video. As always, I hope you've been enjoying the series. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to leave those in the comments below, and I'd be happy to hear from you. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.